There is an old Zen saying. First there were mountains and rivers. Then suddenly there were no mountains and no rivers. But then again there were mountains and rivers. What can that possibly mean? Well, the meaning of this ancient Zen saying I will unravel in this video. Welcome. This old saying is actually the essence of non-duality. It is the essence of liberation. It points towards the full circle of liberation. So first there were mountains and rivers. That points towards the conceptual mind, labeling everything, naming everything, being indoctrinated into a conceptual worldview. And that is what is happening for almost all human beings. And when we have been indoctrinated into this conceptual worldview, when we look at what we call a mountain, we say, look, a mountain. When we look at what we call a river, we say, look, a river. But a mountain is not a mountain. A river is not a river. Mountain is a concept. Mountain is a word. River is a concept. River is a word. Words can never contain reality. The mountain is so much more than the word mountain. The river is so much more than the word river. And confronted with insights like that, then the conditioned mind tends to say, oh yes, I know that, of course the mountain is not, the word mountain does not contain that, yes, what, that, yes, words cannot contain it. But the conditioned mind do not like to be taken off guard. And that is why it will act as it understands what is being saying, as what is being said, and it will try to give the impression that it can understand that what we call a mountain cannot be a mountain. And what we call a river cannot be that mysterious, ever-changing, and the funny thing is, when you look at a river, it is fairly easy to see that it is ever-changing. But if you look at a mountain, you would think that the mountain is much more stable and does not change at all. but hang around for a couple of thousand years. The mountain is also in a perpetual motion. Anyway, I got sidetracked there. Back. So the conditioned mind tries to protect its own ignorance. It tries to act as if it was not ignorant, saying, well, of course, it's just a label, it's just a name. Okay, but if you truly see that, if you truly understand the difference between what is and then the labels, the concepts that we are putting upon what is, then let me ask you another question. Who are you? Who are you? Let me hear you protect your ignorance. I'm not saying this to insult you, anybody, not at all. I'm only pointing towards the obvious. So at first, mountains were mountains and rivers were rivers. And that is how almost all of humanity is living. Lost within a dream world, a conceptual dream world. But then there is this possibility of awakening, of suddenly seeing clearly, suddenly understanding clearly that we could actually do away with all concepts and absolutely nothing would change. So what would be here if all concepts were destroyed, if all concepts were put away? You see, that's a funny paradox when I'm asking you that question, because the conditioned mind instantly wants to answer that question in concepts. But the awakening is the awakening to the realization of reality, the reality that exists independently of any concept. And the most profound awakening in that sense is when it dawns upon oneself, I'm not a concept either. I'm not my name. I'm not my gender. I'm not my nationality. Nothing that can be put into words am I. And in that awakening, the mind, the conditioned mind, gets stunned and is silenced, for a period at least. And that silence recognizes itself as silence. And then the conditioned mind complained, well, what good is that? What can I use that for? I will come back to that. But that is the non-dual awakening, the realization that reality exists 100% independent of any concept, of any label. And then the profound realization that you are, I am, independent of any concept. And that I am then gets curious. What am I? Very well knowing that that question is not to be answered in words, but in a direct recognition from moment to moment. That is the awakening, and that is the second layer of that old Zen saying. First mountains were mountains, then mountains were not mountains, and rivers were not rivers. That's the awakening. It dawns on us that mountains are not mountains, and rivers are not rivers, and I am not any concept. But then, after this spiritual awakening, the honeymoon phase, as it is often referred to, a second awakening, an awakening that we do not have to do away with the concepts, that we do not have to destroy any words, that words and concepts are useful, everyday constructs. And then we play with them. And we are having fun, and all the unnecessary suffering that comes from believing that mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers, and I am my nationality, and I am my gender, and I am my name and my possessions, etc. All that suffering that comes from that is gone. And then there is an unfolding, a beautiful unfolding of existence. And life becomes a creation of art. It becomes jazz. It's like a dance. The existence dancing. So what good is that for? The conditioned mind asks. Well, what is this? What is this? A pen, says the conditioned mind. It's a pen. What is this? Paper. Paper, says the conditioned mind. Well, the awakening tells me that this is not a pen. This is not paper. This is what we call a pen. This is what we call a paper. But the essence of this is magic. So first, this was a pen and this was paper. And then the awakening happens. And the realization, this is not a pen and this is not paper. Wow! This is not the concept. This is not. What is it? And at that point there is an awakening, and life becomes magical. But then, the third step, the conditioned mind would say, this is a pen, and this is paper. But now the awakening has happened. And I don't care if whatever we call this. In Denmark we call this en blyant. In Denmark we call this papir. That sounds almost like paper. But blyant, pen, blyant. I don't care what we call this. But you know what? I can play with it. And I am playing with it. When I combine these two, magic is happening. Magic is happening. And that is actually the essence of non-duality and the full circle of liberation. The conditioned mind is trapped within a conceptual worldview. It cannot see past the concepts, and it believes that the concepts is reality. And all the madness that the human being is creating, at this time it seems more than ever, all of that madness is simply due to the fact that the human being is living in a dream world. The madness cannot be resolved if the madness within the human mind is not resolved. And the only way to do that is to awaken out of the conceptual worldview. All mystics throughout time has been pointing towards this. What I have just been describing is not limited to an old Zen saying. It is hidden within all religions. It is ancient wisdom. It is crying in our face. Wake up. Okay, you who are listening here, I need your help. This message need your help. Please do share this message. Please do share this video. I know there is a lot of humans who are watching these videos and they do not dare sharing to friends or families because they are afraid that friends and families will deem them crazy. What is that crazy guy? What is he talking about? But I think that this video is the closest that I will ever get towards pointing out what it is that is really going on. And if you intuit the truth, and I know that you do, for else you would not have been listening so far. If you do intuit the truth, please help share this message. We cannot be afraid. The world needs to be liberated from its madness. And at the same token, it's important for me to say that you do not have to share the message that I am sharing. Then find someone else. There is an increasing number of beings that are seeing clearly and that are sharing a similar message. Then share their message. It has nothing to do with this human being that is talking here. It has all to do with the message. Wake up. You are not limited to any concept. You are not limited to any description. You are much, much, much more. You are actually the infinite. It cannot be contained within any story, any concept. And then again also, I know that there is a lot of beings who are watching these videos that are not subscribing. Please do subscribe to this channel. It helps spreading the message. Again, it has nothing to do with this human being. It has everything to do with the message. The full circle of liberation is the only thing that can end all that unnecessary suffering that the human being is creating. Thank you for listening, my friend. I shall be back.